ladies and gentlemen of the board, my team and I have performed a strategic analysis on your corporation. I would like them to join me in introducing yourselves. I'm Oleg.
And Casey?
John?
Kevin? Eric?
We believe your current strategy is focused differentiation strategy based on the market saturation and the very specific needs of the market. We focus on 4 key success factors. One being reputation and image. It's always good to expand to customers. Distribution capability. Financial resources, because it's good to maintain operating expenses and have the ability for future growth. And relative cost position, because comparing your the industry's product to other competitors is key. We believe that image and reputation and relative cost position, you do well, but you need improvement in financial resources and distribution capability. Now I would like to give it up to Kevin, who will focus on strategic issues.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. So we identified 3 key strategic issues that we feel are lacking a little bit, and we feel that addressing these issues is very key to the future success of the company. So the first strategic issue, how to increase profits while maintaining quality. We came to determine this through a little bit of a SWOT analysis, some strengths and weaknesses of the company. Your 2010 gross profit was about 10% less than the industry average, meaning that the margin between revenues and cost of goods sold was lower than the industry average. 80% of sales were to resellers. This shows a high reliance on resellers, and it's important to note that when selling to resellers, there's a 50% markdown off of the retail price, so there's less profit to be made for Frogs Leap, and this is to give incentive to move the product on the value chain. Also, for long-term debt, it was $19.5 million in 2010. This is obviously a pretty substantially high number, and through increasing profits, we hope to attack this number and hope to lower it in the future. Some of the major strengths of Frogs Leap is obviously their quality. Going along with that would be their green winery and sustainability efforts, which overall lead to their higher quality wine. We feel that that's obviously in the core of your company, and it should be maintained at all costs. And also, you do treat your employees very well. You offer them full-time, year-round employment. And while this is in alignment with the company's beliefs, it does lead to higher overall costs. So overall, for strategic issue number 1, we do strive to increase profits, but we don't want to compromise Frog Leap's high quality and sustainability efforts. For strategic issue number 2, we determined it was whether to expand the company's product line and services. Overall, a big threat to Frogs Leap is the saturated wine market. There's over 300 wineries, or 3,000, excuse me, in California alone. So, and getting into even more detail, since 1999, the number of premium wineries has increased from over 300 to 1,200 wineries. And mid-size, which Frogs Leap is categorized as, has increased from 80 to 117. So it is a generally competitive environment with, and that is something to keep in consideration. And off of the recession, wholesalers and distributors are less receptive to taking on new wines due to high backload of inventory. So it is hard to generate more sales and growth in that sector because of the less receptiveness. And we do understand that some current efforts are concentrated on olive oil and honey. However, we're unsure and not convinced that there's enough potential volume in sales in that specific section of the company to provide with more growth in the future. So overall, with strategic issue number 2, we think it's important to assess the company's current products, line of services, as well as new potential ones, and potentially creating a differentiation strategy for the company going forward. And finally, for strategic issue number 3, how to effectively improve marketing efforts. We noticed that in 2010, your marketing expense in terms of percent of sales was significantly higher than the industry average. So you do have an emphasis on marketing. We don't strive to change that emphasis. We do strive to reassess and refocus those efforts, primarily due to the changing market conditions. In the wine industry, there is several drivers of change in terms of consumer consumption and how they consume the product. In 2010, wine consumption peaked at 2.5 gallons per person over the age of 21. So consumer demand is increasing, and it is at an all-time high, which is good for the company. And the largest segment is now 25 to 44-year-olds, replacing the baby boomer generation. It's important to understand that in terms of marketing, you're going to need to use a little bit of different tactics and methods and mediums to market towards the younger group in terms of the older group that just got replaced, the baby boomers. And also, it's known that there is a low awareness of green sustainability practices in the industry and for Frogs Leap as a whole. So there is a great opportunity to attract the emerging LOHAS consumers, LOHAS standing for people with lifestyles of health and sustainability. This is an attractive consumer base due to the size. There's 38 million people roughly, and they do have a relatively high spending power as well at over 200 billion. So there is a lot of opportunity to improve marketing efforts. But looking at strategic issue overall, strategic issue number 3 overall, we strive to refocus the marketing efforts due to the changing market conditions and consumer behaviors. So now I'm going to hand it off to Eric, and he's going to talk about further addressing issue number 1.
Thank you, Kevin. Now I'm going to address issue number 1 of how to increase profits while maintaining quality for Frogs Leap. For the first alternative, we focus on the extensive employee benefits that Frogs Leap currently offers to its employees. First, it's important to notice that the staff has doubled over the past 12 years, going from 25 personnel to 50 personnel. Cases sold has a compound annual growth rate of a very minimal compound annual growth rate of just 0.16% since 2000. And comparative to that, the operating expense CAGR has a growth rate of over 5.5% since 2000. So operating expenses is growing faster than the amount of cases that they're selling annually. If you notice here in my graph that I constructed, taking the year 2000 and assuming 25 employees at the time with 61,000 cases sold, that's 2,440 cases of wine produced per employee. Compared to 2010, assuming 50 employees and then 62,000 cases sold, that's 1,240 cases sold per employee. So the efficiency of the employees of Frogs Leap is going down over the past 10 to 12 years that the staff has doubled. You can also see the same effect for the net sales relative to employees. It's also seen a drastic decline. So for this alternative, we are suggesting to decrease employee personnel by roughly 10 employees, to not cut too many, but also to try to increase the efficiency of the employees that Frogs Leap currently has. We're also going to decrease the vacation, suggesting to decrease the vacation time from 3 weeks, which is considered to be generous, to 2 weeks. And also limiting 401k contribution, which can be seen as another generous benefit that Frogs Leap offers to its employees. The advantage of this is a significant cost reduction. We estimated that it's roughly $30,000 salary annually to each employee. The field workers obviously get paid less than the upper management, but a rough estimate 30,000, not including health benefits and the 401k contribution as well. The disadvantages to this alternative is the moral dilemma of cutting employees, and also it could reduce the quality of work and essentially the quality of bottling of wine that the company has. To address the moral issue of cutting employees and benefits, the stakeholders in this alternative is all employees along with their families. The employees that get let go would obviously have the financial impact of losing income, losing health benefits, and retirement savings that they might have. For the employees that don't get let go, they are going to be affected with decreased employee morale. They might have a fear that they're going to lose their job. They might have their friend that was working with them might have lost their job and it negatively affected them. They also, under this alternative, would lose a week of vacation time and some 401k contribution benefits that they receive currently. And it's also a bad image for the company, and image is an important key success factor that we mentioned for the wine industry in general. And particularly to the LOHAS consumers, they make note of ethical practices in businesses when making purchase decisions. So with unethical practices, LOHAS consumers, you could possibly have a deterrence from them with this alternative. The second alternative we wanted to focus on was the increasing supply to restaurants. Recently, Frogs Leap has made the initiative to do the Wine by the Glass program. With this program, they sell half kegs of their bottles, which is unique to put it in kegs, and sell these to restaurants to then in turn sell to their customers. With this, there's several advantages. There's exposure of Frogs Leap on the restaurant menus. They could be one of a few or handful of wines that are offered at a restaurant, or they could possibly even be the only wine offered on the menu. So that's a better way to promote the company and potentially reach new customers that would be visiting the restaurant or dining at the restaurant. And it's also a way to promote new products. If they have a seasonal product for whatever holiday it may be, say it's fall now, they may have a fall flavor, they can promote that product and encourage a restaurant to sell this unique bottle of wine. So it not only distinguishes Frogs Leap, but it would also distinguish the restaurant as a way to provide a unique different bottle of wine that's different than the normal. But the disadvantage, however, is again, it's a reseller, so you can't charge the full price. You have to provide some markdown in order for the restaurant to benefit by moving along the value chain. And if you focus on restaurants, you're going to be focused on locally based restaurants mostly, which is going to deter you from expanding nationally, which is something that we would want to focus on, or Frogs Leap would want to focus on in order to increase profits. And lastly, it could be difficult finding restaurant customers. They may be reluctant to bring out a new bottle of wine. They may have too many wines offered already. They may have some sort of deals made with current wines where they're not going to take on any more, or what have you. So again, this alternative, great advantages, also some disadvantages that go along with it. Lastly, alternative number 3, we want to increase direct-to-consumer purchasing. As Kevin said before, 80% of sales are to resellers, also 78% of sales are to Japan, and that leaves 12% of company sales to direct-to-consumer sales. And that was done through the tasting room and the hospitality center, and it was also with the Fellowship of the Frog program. So for this alternative, we're going to suggest increasing web sales directly to consumers, as well at the same time grow the Fellowship of the Frog members, where they also be able to enjoy some discounts. And with the 25 to 44-year-old segment that we mentioned is the largest consumer segment now, they are more familiar with the internet and more technologically savvy than baby boomers or even older generations. So therefore we feel it's an appropriate way to address that target market. The advantages for this is it's going to increase accounts receivable turnover, which we noted was a problem. They have currently a 58-day inventory or accounts receivable turnover, days outstanding, compared to industry of 15 days. So by doing this alternative, you can when consumers go online, they'll purchase the bottle and pay for it up front.